Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well. Before we jump into this video, and hopefully you guys do take something away from this, do give my Twitter a follow. I'm going to drop a lot of stuff in there. I have been dropping a lot of stuff in here, like a 3x right here, gave out for free. It doesn't charge you anything, so do follow. I do drop some stuff on there, and similarly, I do the same thing in my Telegram. It's free. Just join. Like here, I talked about the strategy. I tell people to ask questions, and I also give out free trades. So I did a couple 3, 4x. So here was the 3x and some other plays. Like I gave a medium term play in here, and I'm going to give out more as well. So do join that. So the Twitter link and the Telegram link, both are free. They're in my bio. And lastly, if you do need a crazy trading platform that's very cheap, it's the cheapest on the market to trade on, BullX, it's the link in my bio. You will get 10% off fees as well. And it is an early access link, so you will get early access and you won't be on a wait list anywhere, as opposed to some people, okay? So if you do need a crazy trading platform with all these cool gadgets and wallet tracking and multi-chart, which this does come out very soon, do hop on that link, trade on it, and you will get an airdrop for it as well in the future, so it's free money you're getting back. All right, so I appreciate it. Let's get back into the video. Okay, guys, so today I'm going to be discussing proper sizing according to your portfolio. So you may be seeing other people on Twitter posting, oh, I made $100,000, $300,000, $700,000, $1 million. But their portfolios and the size of their portfolios are significantly different to yours or mine or anyone else's. And trading is a percentage-based game, okay? If you have $1,000 and make it 10x, you made 10,000, but you had a 10x trade. That's great. Someone who has $100,000 and puts 100,000 and makes a 10x trade makes $1 million, but he did the exact same trade as you. You did a 10x, he did a 10x. So the first thing I just want to say is look at every single trade, not at the money you make, but at the percentages you make, right? Because likewise, if you take a 25% loss and you put in $100, you lost $25. But if I put in, say, 10,000 and I lose 25%, I lost 2,500, right? I lost 100 times more than you. That doesn't mean I'm 100 times worse trader than you. It's just we have different account sizes and portfolios, all right? So today's video, I want to talk about specific sizing according to your portfolio. If you have a very small portfolio, say $50 or less, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. I'm going to be very honest with you, very difficult to make that into a couple $1,000s because your room for error is very, very tiny. Because if you put in $50 and you put in 30 of that and you lose it on the first trade, well, there you go. There's 60% of your portfolio gone, right? So I'm not recommending to go risk heavy and full port with $50, but if you are on the lower size, under $100 or so, it's going to be very difficult, and you need to be either very lucky and put in like $50, $60 or most of your portfolio to make a good return, or you have to be very diligent, disciplined, and scalp $10, $20 plays until you're at a couple $100. So for those individuals, say a couple $100 and lower, this video is not going to be the best for you, okay? But for the individuals that are, say, $500 to about a couple thousand, like 2,000, 3,000, this portion of the video applies, then I'll keep doing other account scales as well. So if you have $500 to about 2,000, what you should really be focusing on is doing small plays but stack for quick gains. So let me just pull up a random chart so I can write this all down for you. $500 to about, say, 3,000. What you should be doing is risking about 10% of your portfolio on each trade. And you're going to be like, well, Chris, that 10% seems high, right? Most professional traders, not really in crypto, meme coins, because meme coins isn't really a professional trading space, but futures or other certain areas, they recommend 2 to 3%, no more. Yes, but guys, if you have $500, you're really going to be risking $10 a trade because it's going to take you forever. Even if you catch a 5x, it's $50. It's going to take you forever. So I would say if you have $500 to 3,000, risk 10% of your portfolio on each trade, right? You're not going to lose that full 10%. So say you have $500, you're risking $50 per trade, right? If you average a 3 or a 4x, 3, 4x, 75% of the time, so let's say you average a 4x 75% of the time, and you average a 50% loss 25% of the time, right? So you have $50. If you do it 4 times, the first time you make 150. I'm sorry, 200. The second time you make 200, the third time you make 200. The fourth time you lose 50, so that would be 25. So you made $200 times 3. So you made $600 net, so that would be $450 profit after 3 trades and $25 in loss. So you made $425 in 4 trades. If you do a 4x 75% of the time and a 50% loss 25% of the time. And that just shows you how quick your portfolio can scale and why it's so good. And that's just doing $500 and you're risking $50. You're putting in $50. And you're not even risking $50, you're risking 25 because you're cutting the loss at 50%. So I'm just trying to show you guys how quickly you can scale with proper risk management and position sizing. Okay? So if you have a portfolio of $500 to $3,000, which is a good portfolio, guys, don't get it twisted. You know, I turned $400 into $4,000 in 3 trades. Okay, and none of them were big heavy hitters. Not a single one of them. None of them were 100x. All right, not a single one. They were all small scaling trades, a couple X's here and there, and it scaled up very quickly. All right, so if your portfolio is in this range, that is a good portfolio, guys. If you are very disciplined and you know your strategy in and out, you will kill it. All right, now let's go to the second kind of base. I would say 3,000 to about 20,000. You're basically in the same range. You could risk a little bit less. Obviously, I said 3,000, risk 10%. So basically, until you're comfortable with, so let's say about 5,000 to 20,000. I would say you're risking about a little shy of 8%. I would say 8% risk per trade is good. If you want to do a proper risk, right? 8% risk per trade. But that's not even your risk. That's just the total volume of your trade. So it's not even 8% risk. 8% total volume of trade. So if you have a $5,000 account, that means your buy can be $400. And as we mentioned, if you're risking, say, 50% risk loss, then you're only risking $200. So your loss potential on every single trade you do is only 4% total net portfolio value. Okay? So if you have a $5,000 account and you limit yourself to, hey, I can only do $400 per trade, and you risk only 50%, you're only risking 4% of your total net portfolio value. That gives you 25 trades before you blow all your money. But this isn't gambling, guys. Okay? I know many of you actually gamble with these trades. This is not gambling. Okay? Look at the strategies. All right? I posted just one recently on the channel. I'll pop it up in the right-hand corner so you could click on it. Very good strategy. Okay? You have certain strategies I'm going to post in the future as well. You need to implement a strategy. Without a strategy, you will get killed. You will lose all your money. Okay? Every single penny you will lose. Because you can't go in there and be like, oh, this looks cool, let me just buy it. You will lose. You will lose, okay? You need a certain strategy. You need certain risk parameters. You need a certain exit and entry, okay? And then likewise, you need something sizable. You need sizing. So if you have, for example, $20,000, this permits you, these rules that I just made right here for you, permits you to use $1,600 per trade, right? So if I want to enter, say, for example, radio, if I want to enter radio, let's just say right here, right? I can put in, according to these rules, $1,600. And I'm only risking 50%, so I could only lose. So this is for the 5,000. So for the 20,000, you're only risking $1,600, but you're risking only 50% of that. So that's $800. You're risking only $800, okay? And if you get a 3x, you already made $3,200 profit with a net value on your trade of $4,800, okay? And that's with proper risk. So you're risking $800 to be making 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and you could let them run as well, okay? So as I mentioned, 500 to 3,000, you're risking about 10% of your portfolio on each trade, but it's not a risk because you're cutting it at 50%. So you're only risking about 5%. All right, you're risking about 5% of your total net portfolio value. Likewise, when you get about to, let's do 500 to 48.4999 because obviously that makes sense. Okay, and then 5,000 to 20,000, you're doing 8% of the volume of your portfolio. So $5,000 would be a $400 trade or buy. 20,000 would be a $1,600 trade, and you're only risking 50%. So on a $5,000 account, you're only risking $200 per trade. You have 25 available mess ups before you lose all the money. And that's not going to happen because if you watch my content, you study, you practice, it's physically impossible. I give you filters in my previous videos. I'll link them up in the top right here that will literally negate any possible faults that you could do as long as you practice them. If you blindly follow the filters, you will lose money. But if you practice them and identify how it works and how it makes sense, as I said, the percentage win rate's high 90s, probably 94, 95, 96, 97% win rate. It is very, very difficult to lose any money sizable to your portfolio. Lastly, for position sizing, for the guys 20,000 plus, you want to be limiting your funds and risk more and more. Obviously, I would say 20,000 to 50,000, you're risking about 5%. Obviously, 20,000 here is risking 8%. So obviously, you kind of have to have an overlap. But let's say 25,000 to 50,000, you're risking 5%, I would say. And yes, your actual volume on your trades actually decreases, at least in the lower portion of this before it goes higher. Because for example, 25,000 times 5% is 1250. Here you're actually risking 1600. And why is that? Because you're trying to scale the portfolio. However, when you get to a bigger portfolio size, you want to be limiting the risk. The easiest way to make money is limiting your losses. For example, if you have $100 and you lose 50%, you're at $50. Guess what? Now you need to make a 2x trade to get back to where you were. Not any profit. Think about that, guys. That's not any profit. You have to get a 200% trade, double your money, to get back to where you were originally. So the less you lose, the more you will win just as a result. Okay? Because every loss that you take, you have to make a certain percentage of that doubled. So as I mentioned, you take a 50% loss, you have to make a 100% return on your portfolio, or the size of that trade, depending on how much you put in, to make that loss back. So the best way to just keep that compounding growth of your portfolio is to limit the losses. And when you are in a loss, this ties back to my psychology video in the top right. Cut the losses quick and let your winners run. Let those winners run. Let them go for a while. But your losses, immediately cut them. Boom. Okay, you're down 20% on the trade. Cut it. Whatever. It's okay. Because that means you only need a 40% trade profit with the same amount of money you put in to make it back. It's that easy. It is that easy, guys. Okay? So for the individuals in this kind of range, you want to be risking 5% of your total volume, which is about 1250 to 2500 in this range. And obviously a 50% risk means that you are risking approximately $625 to $1250. All right. So if you have a $50,000 account, you're risking $1250 per trade. That's not a lot. And guess what? Your ability to blow the account up is going lower and lower. Did you notice how here, say for example, 5,000 to 20,000, it takes you 25 bad trades in a row? Here, if you do the math, 50,000 divided by 1250, off the top of my head, that is approximately 40, right? You have 40 trades to mess up in a row using this strategy before you lose all your money. And I don't know about you, but I don't know a single person who can lose 40 trades in a row, okay? And that's the key to success, is limiting the amount of chances to mess up. Because if you mess up less, you will directly win more. And for the individuals, $50,000 plus, at this point, I'm sure you're pretty advanced. You know what you're doing. But for the individuals that aren't advanced and they just got $50,000 laying around, they're going to put it in. For you directly, I would say focus on market caps, 10 million and above, established communities. Well, this strategy applies to every single one, but especially the individuals with a little bit more money. I would focus on market caps 10 million or above, established communities. And lastly, I would only be risking about 3 to 4% of my value. So obviously, if you're 50,000 here I said risk 5%, here I said risk 3 to 4. Obviously, you do a little bit of your own kind of filtering and what you want to do. But if you have a $100,000 account, let's say 100,000, you risk 3%, that's $3,000 volume, right? So you're putting in $3,000 into every trade, right? Or $4,000 into every trade. And you're only risking 50% of that net loss risk. So you're only really risking $1,500 to $2,000 per trade for a loss, for a loss that you will acquire. And that is still a sizable amount to the people, with 500 to $5,000 accounts, 5,000 to 20,000, etc. But when you're in this range, guys, you have to realize at that point it's a sizing game, and you need to just bet on communities that you know will last, right? You can't be really chasing new pairs with this kind of sizing, 2,000, because you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed really fast. So guys with higher account values, 25,000, say 10,000, 15,000, higher, I would predominantly focus on communities where you could swing trade 2x's, 3x's, 4x's, especially with that dip buying strategy on my channel, right? That is a great strategy. I already got some great comments and reviews and DMs on my Telegram. They were like, hey, Chris, I watched your strategy. I actually implemented it. I already made a 4x today. It's the first day I know the strategy. And that's what it's all about, guys. Compounding those results. Because if you start with $100, for example, and you make a 4x, that's 400. Another 4x is 1,600. I'm not saying to do that because that's full porting. That's bad risk and position sizing. And that's exactly what I'm advocating against in this video. But I'm just telling you the compounding effect is insane in this market, especially crypto and meme coins. So I want you to take full advantage. And I hope that this sizing and risk management video really helped out and you're able to identify that it's a slow journey and easy money leaves you very easily. So if you take it nice and slow and earn that money following these rules, you will have this discipline and skill set built into you subconsciously that you will never lose that money because you understand the journey it took to make it. But if you put $100 into a coin and it goes up 1,000x and you make, $10,000 or $1,000 or 5,000, whatever, you're not going to appreciate that money as much because you got lucky. All right. And you could say, oh, it was conviction, all this, but let's be honest, guys, it was luck. You put in $100, your last $100, and you made 10,000. Very lucky. So do not be like that, guys. Obviously, if you're in the lower portion of the portfolio sizing, like I mentioned, you are going to have to, not necessarily follow these. If you're at a couple $100s, you're not going to necessarily follow, 5%, 10%. You're going to have to probably increase it a little bit. And that's okay because you're starting out, you have that risk. But when you're an established portfolio with higher size, you should not be taking risk. You should be taking asymmetric bets. Asymmetric bets are the ones where the risk is far, far less than the reward. All right, that's an asymmetrical bet. Symmetrical bet means they're both equal. Asymmetrical means it's all in your favor, right? Just like in the casino, you want to be playing the games where the house has a slightly less advantage than you. And that the only game really is poker, right? Everything else is against you. It's rigged against you. So likewise here, you want to be playing for yourself. You don't want to be giving the house the advantage. So putting in $2,000 when it's your full $2,000 into a 100K market cap coin, you're going to get killed. Use some knowledge that you've developed through your life, and likewise use the knowledge I just dropped on you guys here and position size accordingly and risk manage. Okay? I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.